to Vinnes Auto. I am back from the Nürburgring. I'm back in Norway and have been for some time actually. And I just thought maybe I would make a video talking about how the C30 performed on the Nürburgring. And I also realized that I haven't really given driving impressions of this D4 C30. So I thought maybe I could just do all of that now. So yeah, really something different from my 1.6 diesel, that's for sure. But first, let's talk about the Nürburgring, because my trip to Nürburgring, it was 1,500 kilometers to drive just to get to the Nürburgring, and I managed to get in 4 laps on the Nürburgring. I did hope to get in more, but I think we were really unlucky when it comes to crashes and stuff on the track, because we had three or four, can't quite remember, 3 or 4 track closures on the 2 days I had to drive on the track. So yeah, I ended up only getting in 4 laps, but I mean, still, it was just the best experience of my life, basically. It was so incredibly fun to drive on the track. Of course, I'm not maybe your typical car enthusiast in that I don't like to push the cars on roads, on public roads, because for one, I don't want to lose my license, because I'm quite dependent on my license for getting around, and just because I genuinely don't want to put anyone else in danger, of course. Well, there's that, and yeah, therefore I decided to find a track. And because I live in Norway, literally the closest track which is open to public is 1,500 kilometers away in Germany, which is 4 countries to go before you get to Nürburgring. So nearest public open track to me is 4 countries away, which is brilliant, isn't it? So driving the car on the Nürburgring was, I mean, you probably, if you're like me and you're interested in the C30, you've probably seen every single C30 review on the internet, and you do actually see quite a lot of mixed opinions when it comes to driving, pleasure, driving, how it feels to drive. And of course, this is not a stock C30, in that when it comes to handling, what is most notable is that it is on lowering springs, and it's on really high performance tires. It's on Goodyear Eagle F1 supersport tires, which these tires on the track was they were just incredible. Just the grip, when you got some heat in the tires, it just stuck to the road like nothing I had ever experienced before. It was insane how much grip I had around the Nürburgring. And also when I came back into the pits, the tires, when I went to field tires, they were actually sticky, like a semi-slick tire. And at the same time, they're also decent tires for wet weather. So it's everything in one package. So just these tires on the track they are incredible. And also the reason I chose these tires is partly because I did a lot of research before choosing my tires. I watched Tire Reviews, which is a channel on YouTube, and he recommended this tire for someone who wanted a very sporty feeling tire, which had good performance, especially in dry weather, but also wouldn't kill you if you were to drive in wet. So, I mean, he also says that this tire is it's one that he recommends to people who want a track day tire, which can also work off the track and on the road. So that was just, he is 100% correct, I think, when it comes to this. These tires on the track were just absolutely amazing. I mentioned the lowering springs, of course. It is on IBAC lowering springs, so it's about a 30-35mm drop from the original R-Design apparently. And of course I have my 1.6 diesel C30, and it's on the original R-Design suspension, and it's good, but it's not this, because this car, like on the road, there's no body roll at all when you're on the road. It's just completely flat with corners. And also, of course, the tires help with that, because they're like really stiff sidewall on the tire, which just reinforces that sporty feeling and that flat feeling through the corners. It is just a point and shoot experience. You turn the steering wheel in a direction, and the car goes in that direction. There is like no hesitation. It just, okay, now I turn the wheel, now it's going to turn. Now I turn more, it's going to turn more. There is absolutely no delay. It's just immediate grip and precision. And as to Kudim engine, that's quite nice on the track. So on the track I posted a time of 9 minutes 35, which, considering me being a 19-year-old with not a lot of experience, like it was my fourth lap, which was my fastest one, which was also my last lap, so there's that. But it really just 9 minutes 35. 9 minutes 35 for this car, for my first time at the Nürburgring. I think that's really, really quite decent. As most of you will have probably seen, you've seen like the older Top Gear episodes, I'm guessing, and you will remember the episode with Jeremy Clarkson at the Nürburgring with Sabine Schmitz. He wanted to get a Jaguar diesel around the track in 10 minutes. And that was like his challenge for the episode. And after a lot of attempts, he managed a 9 minutes 59 or whatever it was. It was like just under 10 minutes. So he made that. That Jaguar is on paper, it's exactly as fast as this car, as in acceleration 0 to 60, 0 to 100 is on the dot the same as this car, which means the cars are just as fast, they go as fast, which means that if this car is better, it's all in the corners. And Jeremy Clarkson, which, like, he's not a bad driver, genuinely. From what I know, he's actually, like, he did race a 24-hour race on Top Gear and did like better than the two others, I think. So he's not like, he has some experience driving. He's not like, he's better than you would think looking at him, if that makes sense. So him posting a time of just under 10 minutes and I posting a time of 9 minutes 35, I think that says something about how good this car is through the corners, because all of that time was made through the corners, and that was with me driving. So yeah, just based off that statistic, I think we have to say that this car is really quite good. Not to mention just this car, it is a really fun car to drive. And in terms of just on the track, just the balance of the car and just the, like, there's no understeer, there is no oversteer. It's just completely neutral. So like on the track with those amazing tires and everything, it just felt so stable on the track, and just everything was really, really good. And like this, I was now going a speed which is unknown through that corner. And I braked quite hard, braking while like going through the corner, and the car just handles it. And that was something I noticed on the track. Of course, being not a very expert, you can see the entire camera is moved actually. So it's just the stability of the car, like me being not very experienced. Of course, I'm not going to calculate the speed for all the corners correctly, which means for some corners I will have a too high of an entry speed, which means you have to brake while turning, which is not ideal, of course, because that can very easily upset the balance of the car. I had many instances where I braked in a corner, and the car just stuck to the road. Even so, no, not even beginning to like lift off oversteer, just completely flat, and just it stayed. You could feel it start to get upset, but you could control it. It's just so predictable, and I think that's really important on a track. The car is predictable because you can just feel what it's going to do. This car really is quite amazing. And again, of course, I don't have a large sample size of cars that I have driven, because I'm 19 years old. I've had 2 cars, both are C30s. But at least in isolation, I can tell you that this car, at least with this setup, with lowering springs and amazing tires, really is just a really, I don't know, a special experience driving this car on like windy roads. It is so good on these roads. It's just so just point and go. It just does exactly what you want it to do, and it's so predictable. Like, of course, these tires are best in the dry, but even in the wet, they are very like you can tell what they're doing. Like, you have a lot of feeling for what the tire is doing, and you can, as I said, in the dry, it's very, very neutral, like oversteer, understeer balance, and while when it's wet, you have also a neutral balance, but a neutral balance where you can upset the car if you want to. So like if I like just go in with too much speed, I can like control. You can start. You can when you're on the edge of starting to understeer, you can feel it through the steering wheel. And you can like do like precise movements of the steering wheel to adjust the understeer, and you can basically work the understeer to get faster through the corner. And then if you want to oversteer, you can do of course this is a hot hatch type vehicle, which means lift off oversteer is entirely possible. So you like go through the corner with some throttle, and you let off as you exit the corner, and it will that will make it oversteer just slightly. And yeah, of course, doing that, it's best to have traction control off or DSDC off, DSDC, you can turn that off in this car, but that turns off the traction control, but it does not turn off stability control. But it does give you some more freedom in the stability control also. So yeah, amazing car, also on track, amazing car. I did keep up with, like, it sounds crazy, but I kept up with a BMW M2, and this car has 177 horsepower. Like, to be fair, that M2 was the Apex rental M2, which means that it was most likely driven by not a very experienced driver. But then again, I'm not a very experienced driver myself. So technically, it's sort of a decent comparison. But again, of course, I know that if we had two similar drivers in the two cars, the M2 would of course pull away from me, no problem, because it is a faster car. But just also keeping up with that M2 through the track, I actually passed it on the first third of the track. But then when we come to the uphill section, of course it just blasted just past, and of course that's what you expect with a much more powerful car. And then I just lost sight of it. And then at the end of the track, just basically the last part with very small corners before you get to the two last corners and the mini carousel, I caught up with it there, and basically I would say we have had probably, I think, lap time wise, I actually think I had a faster lap time than them, because they started in front of me and I was right behind them as we finished the lap. But anyways, it was an amazing experience, and it's probably, I really think that might just have been the best experience I've had in my life. Not that I have a life, but for those 10 minutes per lap I did have a life, and it was amazing. That's most of it. Also, I think I should probably talk about brakes, because on-track brakes are of course very important, and I was aware of this before going, so I made sure to check the brakes, and I upgraded the brakes. So I do now have M-Tec discs, C-hook gold coated M-Tec discs in 300mm size, and I have Brembo Xtra line of brake pads, which is like high performance brake pads. They're not track pads, but they are high performance pads. So actually, with me driving, so again, I'm not a professional racing driver, of course, those brakes, they actually did not fade after an entire lap of the Nürburgring. So I felt like I had full braking performance throughout the lap, which I really didn't expect, because you watch channels like Misha, Charlene, and most of the cars that he has through there, all end up having to, or most of them end up having bad brakes, or not good enough brakes to go full out on the track. Of course, that's also with him driving. Of course, I'm not going to be anywhere near his level of driving, but just the fact that I was able to drive without having fading brakes, even a full lap of the Nürburgring. And I wasn't trying to go fast. I mean, I wasn't driving slow. So, and also they just continued to work. So I was very, very positively surprised by the brakes and just how well they worked. So that was really quite fun to see that the upgraded brakes did their job. Other than that, there's not really much to say, I think. Amazing experience, amazing car. Really amazing car. This, just everything. I really like everything about this car. Like, I even like the fact that it's really unpractical, which makes absolutely no sense, I know, but for some reason I very much like that this car is impractical, basically because Volvo made it, and like, why would Volvo make this car? It doesn't make sense, but they did, and that's what I love. So bye.